Hi, everyone, and welcome to OEM Update, where we talk about everything you need to know about this year's vehicle model lines in order to sell them. My name is Megan Cusack, editor of Motorcycle and Powersports News, and today we're going to be talking about the 2024 Land District e-moto. The Land District just had its first production run in 2023, and it starts at a base MSRP of $6,995. Now, let's dive deeper into what exactly this EV offers. But for that, we're going straight to the OEM source. Joining me today to give us an overview of the 2024 Land District is Paul DeNigris, Head of Marketing for Land Energy. Paul, thank you so much for hopping on to speak with us today.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right, so can you give us a brief introduction to the 2024 district? For instance, what even is an e-moto exactly? And then what types of customers are looking for this specific type of vehicle?
Yeah. So e-moto, I don't want to say that we coined the term. The term's out there. E-moto is electric motorcycle. We wanted to differentiate our product, the district, which is our flagship product, wanted to differentiate it from a motorcycle, traditional motorcycle, but then also needed something a little more unique to describe it. Electric motorcycle is a little long-winded, so we started just to call it e-moto. So the district is our flagship product. We started selling it in 2023, and it is all intents and purposes an electric motorcycle. It's meant to be ridden, from speeds anywhere from like 17 miles an hour to up to 74 miles an hour. It can be an e-bike in some states. It can be an e-moped in every state, but in every single state, it is an e-moto, an electric motorcycle.
Okay, thank you for breaking that down for us because I was also wondering, is it an e-bike, an e-motorcycle? Where does that line get drawn? Yeah.
That's a gray line. It really depends on the state. Some states have different, every state has different laws for what's an e-bike and what's not an e-bike. Does it have pedals? Is it considered an e-bike only if it has pedals? Does it not have pedals? Is it pedal assisted? So there's a ton of different laws. So it started off when we started the product that it was an e-bike in just about every single state. But as electrification became, more widespread and more companies started, to enter the market, they started to crack down on what's an e-bike, what's not an e-bike. So they don't want obviously 300-pound, motorcycles that have pedals on it riding alongside, a child on his tricycle essentially. So some states are it's a little more focused on specific e-bike laws, and some are a little more free still. So we try to stay away from e-bike.
Okay, that's good to know. All right, so what are the key features and selling points of the district?
Yeah, key features for sure. I would say I've done a handful of trade shows at this point, and I've gotten a really really good pulse on what's a selling point for our customers. The number one selling point that I see is it is a motorcycle that progresses with you as a rider. Anybody that buys a motorcycle, they buy their starter motorcycle, 250cc, whatever it is. And then eventually, once it's not powerful enough, they upgrade to the next bike. And then once that's not powerful enough, they upgrade to the bike after that. And with the district, you don't have to do that. We have 4 ride modes that are meant to progress with you as a rider. So ride mode 1 is absolutely minimal torque. You can, wail on the throttle and you're not going to go anywhere. You're going to just take off at a really steady pace. Ride mode 2, top speed's about 37 miles an hour, a little bit more torque. But once you're comfortable with 1, you press that right thumb in where ride indicator button is, and you're in ride mode 2. Once you're comfortable with that, you press it and it starts the motorcycle modes. So ride mode 3 is what I always say is when the fun starts. That's the motorcycle mode. That there's a huge jump of torque once you get to 3. And then ride mode 4 is an even bigger jump of torque. So then you're in 3 and 4, your top speed is about 74 miles an hour. And ride mode 2 is 37 miles an hour. So
Okay.
big jump in top speed. So the bike is meant to progress with you. That's what I always say is it's the biggest selling point is, previously to land, I've never ridden a motorcycle, but I came
Mhm.
here in the first 2 months, I was on ride modes 1 and 2, just taking it very simple. And then eventually I was like, okay, enough of this. Like, let's get to ride mode 3. And then I just progressed from there. And now it's really everything I need in a motorcycle. And I don't need to, make another $5,000, $6,000 purchase.
Yeah, I think that's excellent because one of the biggest questions in the power sports industry is always how do we get new riders? And if you can offer these types of models that get you people who are new to riding and can help them, introduce them to the sport to begin with, but also help them progress as they go along, I think that's the way to go for sure.
Hmm. Exactly. Yeah, and we went to the Electrify Expo, which is a consumer show focused around electric cars for the most part. And we had 700 demo rides in over a 3-day period. And I would say 75% of the people have never ridden a motorcycle, and every single person got on it, started in ride mode 1, finished in ride mode 2 because we locked the bike down. But essentially, it's still a motor. They're still riding a motorcycle. Almost a 250-pound motorcycle. And they came back and they were all shocked that they rode a motorcycle or were just ecstatic. So it's really cool to see new riders, hop on something that seems intimidating, take it for 2 laps, and know that it's not as big of a barrier of entry to join as they think it is.
So, what about the land district makes it unique?
All of our batteries are removable. So we have swappable batteries. Like I mentioned, we have 3 different battery configurations. We have the 1.8 kilowatt hour battery. That's about 30 pounds. So, say you live in an apartment complex or you live in an office building, you don't want to obviously bring your bike up to your office. It's a 240-pound motorcycle. You can't bring that up there. So one of the really cool things is you just pop out the battery. It's 30 pounds. Really, anybody can hold it. It's got a handle on it. You bring it up the elevator and you could just charge it in your office space. So it plugs into a normal 110 outlet. So you could just charge there. The bigger battery is about 70 pounds. So you can take it out, but you might be sweating by the time you get to your desk. That one's mostly meant to, be charged inside the bike. So if you have a garage, if you have, somewhere just enclosed, you charge it in the bike, but the batteries can be taken out regardless. Something that we just started rolling out is called our onboard charger, which is a charger that essentially is enclosed and is attached to the bike frame, where you don't have to take out the battery and you don't have to find your charger. Maybe you misplaced it. But essentially, what you do is you pull the bike up to a wall outlet and you pull out the onboard charger cord and you just plug it directly into the wall from there. So very simple. We make it as simple as possible to charge your battery, charge your bike, wherever you are.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. As you said, I think you kind of covered all the bases for making it as easy as possible because that is one of the things that people are most concerned about with these, with any EV is, how and when am I going to charge this thing? All right. Now, I know the district comes in, two different models, the street and the scrambler models. Can you break down the specs for us and what the difference is between the two models?
Yeah. So the Street and Scrambler are the 2 models. There aren't any performance spec differences in the 2 models. It's mostly aesthetics. So the Scrambler has the higher front fender, and then it has Shinko Golden Boy tires. And then the Street has lower front fenders, and then it has Pirelli tires, so a little more streamlined. The performance is the same. You lose a little bit of range on the Scrambler model just because you have the knobbier tires, but for the most part, same performance, same everything.
Okay. And can you give us some of those performance specs?
Both of the models, so we have 2 different gearing options. The 15 tooth gearing option will get you about 315 Newton meters of torque, and the 19-tooth gearing will give you about 250 Newton meters of torque. So a ton of torque. Top speed is going to be about 74 miles an hour on the 19-tooth sprocket. On the 15 is going to be about 55 miles per hour. Range is going to be, depending on your battery configuration, about 110 miles. If you have the small single battery, which is 1.8 kilowatt hours, you'll get about 40 hours. You can pair that in the battery box with 2 batteries, then it'll get you 80 miles. Or you can use our big boy battery, which is the 5.4 kilowatt hours, and it'll get you about 110 miles. So I always say, 40 miles is plenty. I really don't ride any more than 40 miles, but 110 miles will get you anywhere you really need to go.
All right. So you've got the street and the scrambler, which I assume street and more Dual sport or off-road type use, is that correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
Oh,
so the scrambler is dual use. I would say 90% of the people that buy the scrambler still just only use it on the road. They just like the look of it. I mean, it looks sweet, it looks awesome. But yeah, it does. It handles really well off road.
okay. So that being said, let's say someone is familiar with riding a motorcycle. What differences will veteran on and off road riders feel using an electric model over the gas powered ones that they're used to?
Yeah. So it really comes down to the instant torque, the instant power, instant torque. If anybody's been in an electric vehicle, Tesla, the second you push that gas, it goes. There's no warming up, there's no spooling up. It is just instant gone. And it's the same with the motorcycle. So that's one of the more fun things that I experience is we'll have people come over to us that are like, oh, I've ridden Harleys my whole life. I've ridden Ducatis. I'll be fine on this. Like it's whatever. It's probably weak and they'll jump on it and they'll be like, "Oh, I'll just start in ride mode 4. Like I can handle it." And they'll come back and they'll have the biggest smile on their face and they'll be like, "Holy crap! Like that was crazy. Like I've never experienced that level of torque or instant power ever in my life." So that is the one thing that is unlike any other when people, no matter how long they've ridden for, no matter the power that they've ridden on bikes before, that's one thing that everybody's like, "Wow, that is amazing. That is so much fun." And it's different. It gives them a completely different experience. A lot of people that already ride that own one of our motorcycles, they purchase it because they want that different riding experience. And it's the like, I want to run to the grocery store and I don't want to, power up my Harley and, get all hot and worry about gas and worry about where am I going to park this, 600-pound bike and all that fun stuff. It's like I want to get, point A, point B as fast as I can and as fun as I can.
All right, excellent. Now, so correct me if I'm wrong, but you're currently in the second production run of the district?
Correct.
Okay. So now with the first production run from last year, were there any service issues with the bike? And if so, have those been addressed in the latest run?
Like I mentioned earlier, we have the two gearing options. So a service, I don't want to say issue, but something that we dealt with early is someone would buy a 15 tooth sprocket. They would want to upgrade to a 19 tooth because they wanted, more speed. And they would have to find a PC, plug in, have a software update. For some reason, nobody owns a PC, which I feel like goes hand in hand. If you own an electric motorcycle, you're a little higher tech, you probably have a Mac. So it makes sense. But we ran into that issue a lot where we would have to have them go to a bike shop or a motorcycle shop and have them plug in and download, the software to update their gearing. But the great thing with tech, with a product like this, is it's all software based. So now we're pushing over the air updates with the bikes. When somebody does change their gearing, we just say, "Hey, turn your bike on, give us an hour, we'll connect to it, we'll download the new gearing feature, and then you'll be all set." So that's something that's really cool. Is we don't have to bring all the bikes in, take off the belly pan, fix everything. It's simply just turn your bike on, go, finish work or whatever, and we'll update it while you sit there.
Okay. Now, so I guess going off that, are there any reasons that a consumer would have to bring the bike in to be serviced at a traditional dealership or bike shop?
I would say the normal service intervals would really be it. We had a customer who put on 7,500 miles in like 5 months. He got his bike. He lives here in Ohio. He got his bike and just rode it through the entire winter. Just would not get off it. And so he reached out to us and he's like, I feel like I need to service this. And we're like, okay, sure, bring it into the shop. And he brought it into the shop and he's like, all right, what do I need? And we're like, maybe like readjust your chain. Like we didn't have anything for him. Like with electric, there's so little moving parts compared to gas that you don't need to service every, X amount of miles. It's really just how well you treat it and it comes down to your tires. It really does. Yeah, 7,500 miles, and we just recommend maybe he gets new tires at some point. When there are service updates, we recommend they could bring it into any motorcycle shop. So there's no engine, there's no combustion engine to work on. It really comes down to just normal parts that motorcycles have. And then if there's any software updates, like I mentioned, they just turn on their bike and it's like making a software update to your phone. You turn your bike on and you let it sit for X amount of hours and it updates.
All right, good to know. Now, what is Land Energy doing to help dealers move these new units?
Yeah, so the product is unique, I would say. Your traditional dealers, a lot of them understand the product. They don't understand the tech. So something that we do is when we do sign on new dealers, we make sure we walk them through, how they're going to sell the product, what's the key selling points, because we want them to move the product as much as they want to move the product. We're focused on a smaller dealer footprint just because it makes it a little more unique when a dealer does have our product. So say, for example, somebody in Michigan reaches out to us. They say, hey, I live in Michigan. I would love to test ride your product. How do I do it? We say, oh, we have our Michigan dealer here in Ann Arbor. So like that dealer gets that specific, lead. If somebody's in Pennsylvania, same thing. We try not to have, 50 dealers per area just because we want to make it a special and a unique experience for the dealers. California, we have a dealer in Southern California, we have a dealer in Northern California, but we like to spread them out to where we know who we're working with, we're providing them with all the information, and then they're getting the specific unique leads. They're not fighting with other dealers in the area.
All right, good to know. Now, final question for you. What are some of the most popular accessories for the district?
We like to streamline the product. It is, if anybody looks at our product, it's very minimalistic. We want it to be, as streamlined, as beautiful as possible. So we keep the accessories, to a minimum. We have back rack, we have side bags. The best accessory I would say is our rear rack. Everything is made out of aluminum, which is really unique. It's very minimal. It's very sleek looking. And then they all have an M-lock system. So they're all M-lock compatible. And I don't know any other OEMs that have aluminum M-lock compatible accessories. So I would say that's probably the best accessory we have is the rear rack.
Okay, excellent. Well, it's been a pleasure speaking with you today, Paul, and thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us about the 2024 Land District.
Yeah, thank you, Megan. Appreciate it.
For more information about the district or to become a Land Energy dealer, head to landmoto.io. And as always, stay tuned to MPN for more of the latest and greatest in motorcycle and powersports news.